My best friend decided to sabotage my wedding because her marriage is a failure.
Yikes. Crabs in a bucket.
Some background info about this girl. Let's call her Jess. At this point in her life, she's kind of a hot mess. It rhymes. She's one of those people who airs everything on Facebook, who has a new love of my life every month and a new best friend every few months. Her relationships and friendships usually end terribly, with both sides hating each other. By the way, this comes from Bubble SX1, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit, and maybe we'll read it for you. How did I become her best friend? Well, she hasn't always been this way. She was relatively normal 5 years ago when I met her, save for the normal early 20s drama. But in the last 2 years, she's lost her mom to cancer, oh no, and her grandpa to old age, and she doesn't have any other family. Oof, that's tough, man.
She's in a tight spot.
She dropped out of school and found out her boyfriend at the time was cheating on her. After the breakup, I was acting like a shoulder to cry on since she had pretty much hit rock bottom. A few months later, she was telling everyone how close we were and started tagging me as her best friend. A few months ago, I got engaged.
All right.
Congratulations. Unbeknownst to me, she started telling everyone that she was my maid of honor.
Yeah, because you tagged it on Facebook, remember? That makes her the maid of honor.
Right.
If you go on Facebook and tag, say, hey, I'm blank, I am hashtag maid of honor at X wedding, you're automatically the maid of honor.
There you go. Even though I've always planned on making my sister my maid of honor. But this was right after Jess's mom had passed away, so I just improvised and said I would have 2 maid of honors. It's still not what I would have liked, but I literally couldn't bring myself to tell this poor girl I don't consider her my best friend.
Oh, this is your wedding though. You can do that.
Yeah.
I don't care who's no.
Right.
Take that back.
But that was my first mistake. About a month after I got engaged, she met a guy. 2 weeks later, she was engaged. What? After 2 weeks?
Well, she has to catch up.
Just catch up.
Because OP's engaged. She's got to be engaged.
She's got to do it.
How are we? If you're planning a wedding, I'm going to be planning a wedding too.
Good old like last minute assignment.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, what? A week later, she was married, and a month later, she was divorced. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, but OP says, or separated. I don't know if it's legal yet. I don't know if anything was legal, but I mean, I think at that point you can get an annulment because you don't know each other that much.
Freaking knows.
That long. But she changed her last name and is still going by that, so I'm guessing it was legal. Ever since the divorce, my own wedding planning has become unbearable. She is constantly telling me how marriage doesn't work, love can't save things, etc., etc., and criticizes how much I'm spending on my wedding when she had hers for a few hundred. It was a Vegas wedding. It's gotten to the point where she's rude to the vendors I'm meeting with, but she gets really upset when I don't take her to meetings since she's the maid of honor. So I'm at the point where I just want to cut her out of the wedding like I should have done in the first place. However, when I confessed this to a mutual friend, my friend let me know to be careful because Jess can be really vindictive.
Oh, God.
When she found out her ex from a few years ago was getting married, she tried to contact the bride and tell her that he was cheating on her when he wasn't. One of her last besties was fired from her job because Jess made multiple email accounts and regularly contacted customer service complaining about her. And since she knows so much info about my wedding already, I'm really terrified that she'll somehow try to sabotage it. So basically, I don't know what to do at this point. I feel like this wedding is getting away from me, but I also don't know if it'd be less painful to keep her a part of it because it would save me all the drama. I don't know what she's capable of, so I'm really worried that she'll somehow make everything harder for me if I don't just grin and bear it. Help. And there are some relevant comments, but what would we say to help?
You got to fight fire with this girl. You got to find someone that has your back, but is also equally as petty as this girl, as Jess. Yeah. And then they just go after it. Anything she tries to do to you, your friend has your back and does it right back to her.
Just like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
what I think. You just got to find someone that's like that then.
Yeah.
You just got to get you on the phone.
Me?
Would you be able to do that?
I don't know, man. If I didn't care about this person's feelings, I probably would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just tell me more bad things about Jess and I think I could.
But there are some relevant comments. So Unicorn Death Race says, to add, it might be a good idea to have passwords with your vendors to confirm your identity. OP says, thank you for the advice. I was actually considering the passwords thing, but I don't know if I was taking things too far. I guess I'm kind of worried about vendors resenting me for being high maintenance, but I hear about bridezillas, momzillas, in-lawzillas all the time. So hopefully this isn't the worst they've seen. Jiggle Daddy Dawkins says, Jesus, just tell her, Jess, you knew him for 3 weeks before you married him. What in the ever-loving F did you think was going to happen? I've only been seeing a girl for 3 weeks. I won't even poop with her in a half-mile radius. OP responds, seriously, the week before the wedding was everyone kindly saying, are you sure? You've known him an awfully short time. And her responding, everyone's just jealous because they can't be us. Yeah. Angelo Papa says, sounds like you need to have a very uncomfortable talk with this girl. Tell her what you told us here and let her know her negative attitude has no place in planning your wedding. You're sorry things aren't working out for her, but she's not allowed to pile this stuff on you. Tell her that you cannot have her as a maid of honor, and since she seems to think so negatively about marriage, you wouldn't expect her to do this. Up to you if you even let her attend the wedding as a guest. OP says, oh my God, I haven't even thought about explaining how her negative attitude towards marriage could be the excuse for not having her in the wedding party. See, right? There you go. You need to heal separately. That sounds ridiculously logical, but I've been blinded by a flurry of crazy. Thank you. And there is an update.
Michael Phelps it.
What? Just what?
Just dive right in.
I don't understand.
Dive right in.
Sports references.
Michael Phelps, like the 12x gold medalist for swimming.
For swimming. You dive right into the water. Yeah, I know. I knew that. I knew that.
Where do we find you? How do you not know that?
I knew exactly what you were talking about the whole time. I don't know what you're talking about. But there is an update. Let's get into it. Guys, this went full-blown crazy. Before I could have a conversation with Jess, she confronted me about it. Apparently, the mutual I confided in let the whole story leak, and a twisted, more dramatic version made its way back to Jess. Shoot. It was an hour or two of me trying to explain to Jess in a somewhat calm manner that I felt she had overstepped her boundaries, and it was really taking a mental toll on me while she yelled about what a terrible friend I was and how she's tired of putting all her faith in the wrong people and how she was tired of trying her best to be a good maid of honor. I made the mistake of pointing out that I never asked her to be my maid of honor in the first place, and she responded with, well, then I must be delusional. The first step is admitting you have a problem. Right? So progress. Needless to say, we aren't on speaking terms. Shortly after that, I took all of your advice and called all of my wedding vendors and let them know that my fiance and I were going to be the only people making any decisions and set up a confirmation word with them. Apparently, this crap happens a lot because nobody even asked why. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I accidentally forgot to contact the bakery making our cake, but luckily they called me and asked if I was certain I wanted to cancel the wedding cake. Apparently, there was a voicemail left on their machine. Wonder how that happened. Wow, so she was right that was exactly what she would do. And here's where things really get nuts. It's not already nuts already?
It's progressed.
Oh my gosh, man. I don't even know what's gonna happen. What would your guess be?
What is she about to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. She's trying to get people... Because what I'm thinking is she's going to try and set up being like, oh yeah, OP's been cheating on you forever. Yeah. She's already called the vendors. I honestly don't know what she's about to do.
Here's my prediction. I think the wedding's going to happen. Okay. They're going to be in the middle of the vows. All right. And then they're like right about to say I do, leaning in for the smooch, and then she's gonna break open the chapel doors and be like, stop the wedding, while she's wearing a wedding dress, and then she's gonna go on some story, and yeah, and then it's gonna be a whole thing. That's what I'm imagining.
I hope not. I hope not.
A few weeks after our blow up, she apparently met some guy who is the love of her life. A few weeks after that, they're engaged. I can't make this crap up. She did it again. Then our mutual friends get invitations for her wedding, which is the same date as mine. But since they'd RSVP'd for my wedding, a lot of them couldn't make it. A few days before her wedding, they have to cancel because he's already married. Oh my gosh. Wow. What a mess.
Turns out he's already married. So
he's already married. Can't do that. Oh man.
They go to check the records and they're like, sir, it looks like you're married here.
Currently legally married.
He's like, oh yeah. Sorry, I can't do it.
I forgot about that. Forgot about that prior engagement. And you know what? So is she. What?
So she got her records checking like, oh, apparently I am too.
Yeah. I guess she never got officially divorced from that first quickie wedding. So as far as I know, no wedding actually happened. I have no idea if they still plan to. I'm just glad to be away from the circus. But so far as I know, you can listen to episodes with stories just like this. Just go to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you prefer, and search up OK Storytime. And we could find more circuses just like this one. There is a little bit more to the story, but shall we unpack a tiny bit?
This girl's crazy. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's just
glad it wasn't worse.
Entertaining at the very least.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't get worse.
Yeah, I'm very glad that she's at least out of your wedding party.
Yeah.
I think that was the best decision for you long term. It's just a messy little ending, but let's see if it gets even messier.
Oh God.
But anyways, I got married a few weeks ago. Everything was wonderful. The weather was great, and everyone present was a joy to be around, except maybe my uncle, who gets a little too dancy when he's wasted, but you know. Family. Thank you to everyone who responded and to everyone letting me know that I'm not helping matters by going with the flow. I will be actively practicing caution when making friends by running from crazy and not comforting it. And there is one last relevant comment here. Jaruro says, anyone else think the mutual friend is kind of crappy? She was the one who told OP to be careful about Jess, yet she decided it would be a good idea to blab about what OP told her, knowing full well it would get back to Jess. Now, instead of telling Jess on her own terms, OP got ambushed instead. That's a good point.
Wow.
I totally brushed past that, but that's true. OP responds, I actually asked her about it a few days after the blow up. Her defense was that she didn't actually tell Jess. She told another mutual friend of ours who told someone else, who told someone else, who told Jess. So technically it wasn't her fault, which is how by the time it got to Jess, the story was somewhere along the lines of, oh my gosh, Bubbles SX1 is telling everyone you're ruining her life and sabotaging the wedding. All of us met at work. We all worked at the same restaurant long ago, and it was always a drama-filled place. A lot of the same people still work there and still thrive off of the drama. I'm thinking it's time for me to move on from that specific crowd. Cliques are fun in middle school, but in your 20s, not so much. But that is the end of the story.
If you want more stories like this, search for our podcast, OK Storytime, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.